Yes, recording process. Meeting shall begin. So we start with a roll call. Do we have, no, there's no commissioners. So we have to appear remotely. Okay, let's do the roll call. To my left, we have Commissioner Pyle, Big Pyle.
Here.
Wait, you should let James do it, the roll call.
What?
He always does the roll call.
Oh, well. Hi, James,
Hi, Chairman Maville,
present here.
Vice Chairman Sylvia,
Here.
Treasurer Pyle.
Here. Okay, so we have a call.
Everyone is here.
All right, so now we have to approve the minutes. We now need approval of the minutes for November 8th. Board meeting on 2021. Wants to give a motion to approve the minutes for the.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay. Item number 4, changes to the agenda. And Jennifer, would you please speak up,
Yes,
guide us through this?
yes, thank you, Chair. So I have 2 changes to the agenda. Last night, we were all made aware of our District 3 seat that was made vacant due to resignation. Commissioner Mullins resigned. So I would like to know if I could add that as an add-on agenda item under 6B, board vacancies, so that we can give an update on where we are with the District 1 seat vacancy, and then also add in for discussion the District 3 vacancy to check timelines
Right,
and when you want to have the final date of
right.
applicants.
And plus you already checked with Ralph on all the details. So you have some legal advice. So there's no mystery here.
Right.
Okay.
So I'd like to do that. And then in addition to that, I would also like to change number 7, new business, organization of the board, to put it at the end of the agenda, right before commissioners' comments.
Right, that's fine.
Is that okay? All right, so you're gonna need a motion.
Or actually, if I do the commissioner's comments, then do it the change of guard at the end.
You can do it that way
Yeah.
too. That'd be fine. So
Yeah, let's do that.
can you, so then we're gonna, just to clarify, we're gonna move 7, new business, organization of the board, to make that number 10 after number 9, commissioners' comments.
Mhm.
So you'll need a motion and a second to adopt those
All
changes.
right. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. No roll call.
Keep going.
All right, great. Everything, pages, public comment, is there anyone out there in TV land that wants to speak?
Did you have any hands raised?
Can you tell me who's attending? Any familiar names?
We have Carrie Schumann, David Mintz,
Hi, Carrie. Hi, David.
John Rosen,
Hi, John.
it says Linda, I assume that's Linda Lair,
Okay,
Ralph Brooks,
yep,
Sandy Stillwell, and Steve Patel.
okay.
And a
Hi,
phone number that I don't
Sandy.
recognize.
Your Highness.
And
Okay.
Galaxy S10, which I believe is Tiffany Detective.
Thank you very much. Now we all know who's watching. And there's no public comments, correct?
I've seen nothing.
All right, let's move on to our former big guy at Piper Jaffray, also known as Dick Pyle, CFO extraordinaire.
Yeah, you received the financials for November 3rd, 30th, 2021. Both the Captiva, Erosion District General Funds and capital funds are as expected. The numbers do reflect the cash in and out for the beach renourishment. That's one of the reasons that the balance sheet now shows that year to date, we've had a actual loss of about $5.7 billion. That will be adjusted. Jason will make some adjustments to this to the accrual of the borrowings longer term. So for any people looking at the balance sheet and the income statement and wondering why it looks like we're losing our shirt, it just has to do with how we account for
Receivable
will.
Does anyone know when the capital actually comes in from the county and the TDC, when the check does arrive, so to speak? Does anyone know? Tim, do you know?
Believe,
It's pretty late process.
Right.
Because we're still totaling out
the final
Right.
expenses.
and then they figure out the percentage, right?
Correct. We have the percentage already designated by the ILA. However, we have to decide, I believe, on the final apportionment model, which will happen either March, April, or May. And then once that happens, I believe at that point, we will get the funds. But keep in mind, we have the municipal bond already that we secured, you all voted on,
Right.
secured earlier.
Right.
That's already in there to pay for the project.
Right.
So these percentages are going to be reimbursements.
Right.
And as far as the only other thing that maybe relates to the financials, as the project is done, we paid Great Lakes. I think we just sent out the last check.
The second payment has just been approved. You just approved it, so that check will go out tomorrow.
That was about $8 million.
I will tell you.
6.8,
I will tell you right now.
just over 8.
Yeah,
And I think there's like five remaining. Once they verify the remaining portion of the project.
Dan, how much money have they received? If they're paid in full, are you gonna do that in the project? Are you gonna talk about that when you talk about the beach renourishment update?
So we still don't have the full total of the project. Somewhere north of 19 million.
Plus, we have the change order for the fencing. That's not part.
correct. Right now, the second payment application that Mr. Powell just approved was for $8,435,318.52. And we've already written the check previously for, was it 5 million? Yeah, it was 5 million was the first payment.
So 8 and 5 is 13. They got another 5 coming above and beyond.
Right.
That's all right. Or does anybody have any questions?
No, great job, Mr. Powell.
Okay. So now we're going to do the old business where we're going to talk about the beach renourishment update. Dan?
Well, as many is already aware, the project is complete as of November 10th. They finished the beach fill. The plantings have been complete. They planted 350,000 dune plantings, consisting mostly of the CEOs and then the various other species. We have our parking lot is back open and fully functional. We had to trim that up and make it nice for all the visitors. Porta potties are back being served as well. Just have a beautiful beach. We're working towards, once the next steps in the process is Aptum is going to be conducting their post-nourishment surveys, which will finalize the project participant probably March or so. So shortly thereafter, we'll visit the apportionment again for the final apportionment.
So just a little enlightenment. Historically, during a beach renourishment cycle, 75% of the template usually devolves. In other words, if you have 100 feet, wherever you started, 10 years later, you end up with 25. And right now, it hasn't budged an inch, but that's because there hasn't been much storm activity. Enjoy it while you can. But that sand does remain very close by.
On the system.
And
There's a,
the final point is, it'll be in this video that Mark Myers is doing, is when I was filmed, I was standing in a spot that 35 years ago, I would have been 10 feet underwater. And I was standing in the middle of the beach. That's in the southern portion. So from a resiliency perspective, on the front side, we're very much ahead of the game and measure it with almost pre-Hurricane Donna levels from the 60s. John and Dick might remember, but there was a time there was actually a road. It was a dirt road, there was sand road. People would drive their cars on the front side where there was literally almost 1,000 feet between the houses and the. So I don't think we'll get there, but I'm getting there slowly.
I will say, in addition to the beach nourishment, we can anticipate, as you said, some changes coming. We can see some escarpments forming, particularly on the north part of the beach.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
But that, we had the beach activity where we just had the nourishment, so we had all that same place on the beach, but we're also changing from the summer beach profile to the winter beach profile. And I wrote up a short explanation of that that's going to be in our newsletter, but the basis is that the beach is much shallower during the winter, and it's not cause for alarm to see these escarpments forming. They're to be expected. I
Right.
know we just completed this nourishment. Everybody's gonna go out there and look and see the beaches eroding and, looking terrible. And we just paid $20 million for this, but as you said, the sand remains within the system and it'll return back to the summer
Right.
months.
Right. Usually does. Yes.
Chairman Mabille, I also want to point out from the press release that we sent out a week and a half ago, we've gotten some pretty good press, 2 articles that were written so
Yeah.
far. So I just wanted to point that out, that people are definitely interested, and we've gotten a lot of really great positive feedback from the visitors, not only the visitors, but also the residents.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest renourishment ever. You can see it. The proof is in the pudding. And thanks to Mike having the cleverness and insight, knowing that when you hire someone, you hire them when they're busy, the price goes up, but there are times when it's not. And then the interesting part is that I've spoken to a beach renourishment. Well, actually, he's the county manager, but he handles the beach renourishment for the Outer Banks. And they do it during turtle season. They've been doing it constantly during turtle season. I'm having problems finding people that actually, I mean, I'm just shocked that people, certain beach renourishment initiatives don't look into the fact that we weren't the first. But
These Outer Banks in North Carolina.
yeah. And because I was bragging about the fact, I said, yeah, we're doing, well, we do that too. We've been doing it for like 20 years. I'm like, oh, okay. He says, no, it's not that. It's just, obviously there might be pushback, but it's, when you actually dig around, there's not much pushback. All right, so that it, Dan? Any questions from commissioners regarding?
Is this a good time for us to bring up the issue about ropes?
Sure.
So, and anyway, I got an email from somebody in the community talking about people walking across these plantings. So the question came up, one, who owns the dunes? Are they public or private property? Second, if it's something we can do we have a budget for this? And what is it we can do with respect to these dune plantings and people not walking across?
So anything seaward of the erosion control line is owned by the public and it's managed by CEPD. We do have Nicole Sharp working with Earth Balance, who did the dune plantings themselves. We've mapped out some highly trafficked areas to get a bid for the rope and the post to kind of guide the public through that area. We've also, as people have seen, we've placed some signs along the openings, the major openings, to remind people to not step on the newly planted sea oats. But one of the things I've noticed going up and down the beach is that those sea oats have really taken off and they've gotten fairly pronounced.
Right.
So as they get bigger, I imagine that people will just naturally not walk on them as much. But
Well, this is another thing too. As soon as the things were planted, because every morning my wife and I and the dog, we go through. And right out of the gate, you see people just walking through. And if you tell them, excuse me, sir, the newly planted, they're so embarrassed that, they get macho. Or then this one lady said in a Russian accent, oh, I could not read, but it was cool. But as soon as you said, so bottom line is the signs have helped. The reason I say the signs have helped is the 1.5 miles I walk each way. I don't see many footprints since the signs have been put in now. Are they a little bit much? Yeah, but they're protecting the sea oats. And as soon as we get for people's pathways to get on the beach, once, like we did 8 years ago, was it 16 years ago? 8? Did we do it last time? Does anyone remember?
Well, yeah, we have,
The dune
we have the
planting?
ropes.
Yeah, okay, so the last
Last two times.
Last two times, good. And what it is, people have their own pathway, you stick the ropes there with the post, it flares out a little bit. So it should be, but as far as ownership goes, to answer your question, I think there's very few places where those dunes were done that is in the private property area. I'm pretty sure they're at the coastal.
So we can
control.
address it. So one other question, comment someone made to me was, mucky duck was the big issue. And to what extent is the mucky duck an issue that is more difficult than other areas of walking on the beach?
It's a
Highly
highly, yeah, it's a highly trafficked area because of the restaurant, and oftentimes the visitors to the restaurant walk out on the beach frequently, you know, and they have their beverages, they watch sunset. So it's a highly trafficked area, plus with all of the rentals that we have on Andy Rossi Lane, you know, that's the main public access point for everyone from Jensen's on down Andy Rossi Lane. So it's just a very high traffic area, which is I think why the resident was concerned, because it seems that those dune plantings have been trampled. Now, we did put signs, as Dan mentioned. How many did we put? 700 signs?
I put 100 times.
Sorry, 100 signs out, and we can certainly get more. Our hope is that to only use these signs temporarily until we get the rope and the posts. So
We thought the post would already be a done deal. Let's
yeah,
get
the
it.
problem is they're having problems getting the supplies.
Yeah,
So that's, I think, the other issue. But then again, we're still waiting on an actual quote for an expense.
right.
And Commissioner Sylvia, just to answer your question regarding the budgeting of it,
It's already been approved.
it would be a change order, yes,
We
approval.
approved the change.
Correct. And just to make you all aware, we, you know, we should still go a little north of, as Dan mentioned, 20,000 even with this change order. So our money wise, I think we've done a really good job staying within our budget. So we just have to wait and see what that expense.
Everyone's gonna love it too. We don't want to step over dollars to pick up pennies. I mean,
Right,
We
right.
saved 3 million on a beach project and it's 7,000 square feet, 7,000 linear feet. It's gonna be $5, maybe $6. So you do the math, it's like 35, 30. The people on the beach side are gonna be very happy, and if there's a few people on the other side who are gonna complain about it, say, well, you know, the people on the beach, they're paying about 6 times as much as you are. So, I mean, that's just speaking as a landowner, not as a commissioner. I don't think it's gonna be that.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Okay, so now Jennifer, you want to talk about how we're going to process the second?
Yes. So just to recap for everyone.
Recommend, I should say.
Yeah, everyone present, I'm going to turn this over to our admin director in just a second, but just to kind of recap what the commissioners had decided when Commissioner Kaiser passed was that we would take applications until 12/31/21, so until the last day of the year. The applications would then close, and then you all would vote during your January regular board meeting. You would make your vote on who you would select to go into that seat. As I mentioned, when the meeting started, we did have Commissioner Mullins resign yesterday. So that now brings a second vacancy. So
What's your recommendation?
my suggestion to you all would be to go ahead and keep the last day of the year deadline. And then we can do an advertisement, and I'll let James take off from here, but we can do an advertisement, our social media post. We've announced it in this meeting. We have to announce it tomorrow in the community panel meeting. But given that we have 2 weeks left to the end of the year, I think that's more than ample time to get another application or two, or not. I would just say, let's keep it the same. We can just add in the District 3 seats in addition to the District 1. That would be my recommendation. The other option you could do is you could also hold a special meeting. However, that could get
Perfect
difficult.
timing during the holiday.
Yeah, it'll get difficult during the holidays with everyone's schedule, as I know as I know Commissioner Sylvia will be out of town.
Was there anyone here against just, doing the status quo? We got to the 31st. We advertised to be legal. Is there any commissioner that does not accept her suggestion? I think it's a great idea.
I'll stay with the 31st.
All right.
It's nice way to do
Okay,
it.
all right, so do we need a vote or are we done?
You will need to get a vote, but before you do that, I would like for our administrative director to explain what's going to happen now that you all have made that decision. Do you want to go ahead and let them know about the ad and?
Yeah, if you look in the packets, I placed two ads. One is in the news press, which is the one that's up on the screen right now.
Showed up on the screen.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's up on the screen right now. The news,
Right.
that's the news press ad, and then also did one in the Islander, which is the one before it. Yeah, right there. That's the one that was in the Islander, advertising both positions. I've reached out to both papers to see about whether we need to, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do we want to create a whole second ad, or do we want to just amend the ads we got now to include the new seat?
Recommend amending it.
Yeah, just a
We've
minute.
amended,
It's
okay,
fine.
perfect, all right, so then, yes, I'll reach out to the paper, I'll get them to amend what we have now, finish out for the rest of the year, oh, yeah, we've also notified the election, the supervisor of elections via letter, signed letter, which will also have to have a copy of the letter from Mike Mullins along with it to send to them to notify them of that, which similar to what we did, last month, but, and from
Do you
there,
know Tommy Doyle?
Yeah, we wrote the letter this morning. I've already
Okay,
signed it.
good.
James submitted, so.
And just make sure they have it because they get busy. and
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
things-
yeah, and I'm also make sure to keep a digital copy of it as well.
So James, I guess several months ago, there was a push for social media. Are we getting anything on social media for saying, we've got an opening or two? What do you-
Yeah, the beach brief has been sent out. We've also had listing on Facebook for it as well. Up to this point, we've received 2 applications, which, yeah, which you guys already know about. Then the next thing would be, is we had discussed this a little bit last meeting. Would you guys want to have one-on-one meetings set up on your behalf with each candidate, or would you rather?
Well, I think that, okay. I've already spoken to both.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that you guys aren't just gonna pick up the phone and call these people, or what your plan is.
No,
You're gonna talk to them. at all?
I know the people for a long
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Okay,
Are you gonna talk to them or no?
Sometimes.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to each one of these.
all
really.
right, well, then, all right, well,
Would you like us to set that up for you, or would you like to do that on your own?
What, I would love to, if you could set it up. Now, when is our January meeting?
the,
It's gonna be the 10th.
10th, yeah,
Yeah, there should be, yeah, I'll be back on this, on the 2nd. Where you going? Portugal.
So would you like us then to go
Yes,
ahead
please.
and set that up for after the 2nd, that first
And-
week
and-
prior to the 10th?
Anytime after 11 o'clock.
You got that?
got it, yeah.
Okay.
I'd also suggest that you ask them if they'd like to talk to us.
Okay,
They have any
yes.
questions.
James can reach out and
Oh, you
make
mean
that.
in terms of asking us questions?
Yeah, asking us
Okay.
questions.
All right, so we need you need a vote on that? to just
We need,
keep- all
yeah,
right,
to-
so
for the approval, it can
we
just
gotta go
all in favor,
to just amend the,
we need a motion and a second.
So we'll need, the motion before us is to amend the ad to mention the second opening.
Correct.
second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on.
Thank you, Jennifer, because I'm the kind of person who really says, if you're gonna do this by this date, this is what you're gonna do by this date. If you start changing the rules and everything gets messy.
Okay, now, ratifying the past meetings. All we need is a motion. We've already gone through all of this. They've all been voted upon. We could either get a motion or anyone wants to talk about any of them. You can, but I would just recommend getting a motion, we've already passed it. Unless someone wants to
So
change
what's
the
the
vote on something.
implication if we just ratify?
Nothing, not for it.
Can I make a motion that we ratify past meetings?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, all right, what is next? Because I know we switched it around.
Yep. So next, you are going to
Commissioners' comments?
comment.
Okay, so I would like to have some comments. Because, I guess to be succinct, we're gonna go through a different phase of the CEPD. We're gonna get out of capital projects mode and get more into administrative mode. And it's a different field, if you will. It's a different process. And it's not like, you know, you're building something. You are now sort of creating a foundation for the future. And last year, when Mike Mullins was here, he says, I don't want to be chairman anymore. You want to be chairman? You know, it was like kind of, and I knew if I said yes, and I said yes because I knew I had to roll up my sleeves and really get involved. Brand new board, brand new people. And I felt that knowing, having a frame of reference with everything that was going on, I figured, okay, but, you know, I do not want to, it would be succinct, it's not time for someone else to go up their sleeves. And I say that in an unkind way, but in a kind way too. Just like Mike said to me, I don't want to be chairman anymore. I want to be chairman. But the rationale basically is that I'm not needed to make sure that things are working out okay during a capital project. What is needed is someone that's willing to get involved, understand all the elements that take place with all the vendors that we work with, our engineering firm, politicians that are the decision makers, and also dealing with the stakeholder owners. And I handle things more like a business. I just say it like it is. If people don't like it, well, you know, someone's going to win here. And right now, I'm the least person, nor am I interested, because after 20 years of what I feel to be accomplishments that I drove, whether it was the opening of One Pass or the reconfiguring of the bridge, the Sanibel Bridge, or the emergency response plan, things that I felt were important. Right now, there's no war, there's no fight, there's no reason for me to get involved. So I think it's, and plus, I've done someone else's job. I've done my part. I will make sure that things behind the scenes.
You're not going to retire soon.
No, I'm not going to retire, but I want someone else to roll up their sleeves.
I'm glad to roll up my sleeves, but I feel as if you're gonna, that's a speech that you're gonna give, like you're gonna disappear.
No. What I will be there for you. I will make sure, I will tell you when people are spinning you. I
Because
know,
we do need some institutional history.
yeah,
Yes,
I'm
okay.
there. I am 100% there. It's just that I would like to start going back on the beach and not worrying. I mean, I've finally reached a point in my life where I can now really enjoy the fruits of Captiva, because this happened, this decision came not because of that hoo-ha, whatever that guy's name is, O'Gara, but it came because my mother and my wife and I were talking about all the great times we would sit on the beach and catch pompano. And why aren't we doing that now? Why am I looking on seeing what deals are out tomorrow with some IPO or the Franklin Shaw businesses that we have? And I said, gee whiz, I got 25 employees. Let them do their thing. So my point being is that I made a decision. I'm not saying I'm retired in any way, shape, or form, but I want to drink from the cup of life of things that I've been invested. And at the same time, I will be right behind you and no one's going to snow.
But you're not retiring.
No, I will stay on until the coming time that.
Because I am deeply disappointed about Michael Mullins having to retire off the board. Because that was a loss in terms of institutional history.
Yes, yeah, oh, yeah, his frame of knowledge is off the charts. But Mike will always be there if we have questions for him of substance. I will always, should you want to be chairman, and I will go ahead right now and nominate, well, when it comes to the
Well,
nomination time.
But we're keeping Dick because he knows what the numbers are.
I
He's
hope
not
so.
going to leave us, is he?
I've had it.
Okay, there you go. So what I'm trying to point out is I just wanted to explain that I rolled up my sleeves, I did the dishes, now it's someone else's turn.
I'm glad to do the dishes as long as you're still here
Yes, sir.
and Dick is still the treasurer.
Yeah.
Because other than that, it's going to be too difficult to have this crazy.
So I could be like vice president.
Yeah, you can be vice chair, yeah, sure.
Whatever it is.
I have no problem with that,
Yeah, good.
because I do appreciate your forthright commentary. And that would be still up. Done deal.
Good. Well, that's just kind of what I wanted to say. And also, Jennifer, if we have this like open time right now, believe it or not, the CEPD is the kung fu master of beach renourishment. Not because I said so, but just ask Nicole, ask the FSBC, I mean, ask anyone. We are the bomb. So don't ever worry about some people that say, oh, our credibility. Are you kidding me? Don't even think twice about it. And even it's like the community panel. There are other community panels, but as far as the county is concerned, there's the Captiva community panel. And then there's maybe a Estero. And then, so the point being is that we are known for quality work. We are known for legacy, that we've done things that no one else has ever done. We have, according to Mike Soul, the emergency response plan, quote unquote, he's the former DEP, Department of Environmental Protection for the state of Florida. He said in his words that the emergency response plan is the single most protective beach law ever conceived in Florida. And that was done 20 years ago. So my point is we should hold our heads up high. We've done great work. And I think we have a fantastic, Jennifer has brought together a more, I think we're not CEPD 2.0. I think we're CEPD 3.0 from what it was 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. You got, so I'm rambling. It's okay. But anyway, so we have a lot to be proud of as far as appearances. There's always going to be people throw tomatoes or, but I always say, what have they done? And the answer is usually nada. So I just say, well, that's their right. And,
So let me pick up on
yes.
Renee's comment. Jennifer and Dan, to what extent do we have recognition in the state, not just here, but in the state of, we did a good job? Do we get a blue ribbon from anybody?
We got
Well,
an award in 2001.
I can talk about that now, or I can wait.
Please,
until-
no, let's I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, so I think for us, in terms of a blue ribbon, I don't know that we've had that yet. The project is newly completed, but we had two pretty exciting things happen. 3 weeks ago, I was home on a Saturday and our state representative, Adam Botana, called me and was asking for Dan and I to meet with the Bonita City Council member, Councilman Chris Corey, to talk about our beach renourishment project, because he really felt like we knew what we were doing and we knew the process and we knew a thing or two about getting the critically eroded distinction from the state. The biggest challenge is Dan and I went and met with Councilman Corey last Friday. The biggest thing that they're up against is they're not considered critically eroded. And Dan and I encouraged them to work with Steve Patel, Natural Resources in Lee County, and to reach out to the FDEP and have those studies done. And it's my understanding that the county has already done those studies as recently as a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. But they were still interested in having Dan and I present at a workshop to their council to just go over our project, what it looked like, what our cost share was, why we get the cost share, just to kind of explain it and educate their council. And I always look at situations like that as a great collaboration and a huge pat on the back, because obviously we have our state representative who thought enough when we took him out on the boat ride to recommend us to another elected body to come and present our process. So that I think is a big deal.
Well, that's nice. Plus, I just got an idea. I think even on this island, there's enough people that have a direct relationship with the governor that someone could whisper in his ear to come up with some kind of optical recognition, because that will help us with funding too. So that's something that, see, behind the scenes, I can work on.
And I think the second thing that's been a really huge feather in our cap is that I know I mentioned a few months ago, Dan and Nicole from Aptum submitted an abstract to do a presentation at the FSBPA conference in February. It was
Right.
accepted. So I really want to try, I would love to bring our entire staff to celebrate, have Laura there to film it, do social media, but to do that, it would cost us about $6,000. So if I bring just 3 of us, we're looking at about $4,700.
And that's to do the,
That's to attend the
yeah,
conference, and, we'd be there for 3 days.
Can
And
you give us a detail?
100%, and I would invite you guys to attend as well.
I'll be there in spirit.
Okay, I mean, if any of you would like to attend the conference with us to watch Dan, obviously, we would love that. We will
How
be,
many days is it?
it is 4 days,
4 days.
3 days,
Okay.
Wednesday
Representing
through
us
Friday,
one day, right?
Yes, we're presenting on the second day with there, so.
Thursday.
Yeah,
And
So
we,
February 4th, you said?
and we would need approval on that cost, and you could do a not to exceed, because I don't
you
know.
have to fly there, or you're gonna drive?
No, we're driving.
You're driving on with
Easy.
Telehan. Where is it?
in
Telehan?
August.
August.
St. Augustine, so it's 6 hours. Well, I was thinking it's a convention. Dan will probably be all over techniques for scientific techniques for construction or for, they're all going to be about resiliency at this convention. So I think it's pretty important. Jennifer, I assume you'll be all over contacts to bring in money and for state.
Yeah, I mean, I
So,
plan to meet with
well, to me, it's a good investment.
the Army Corps folks that
And
we
you
met
can show
with.
the numbers to John.
100%, yeah, happy to.
See.
Yeah, so we would need a vote on a not to exceed amount. If any of you would
Isn't
like to
there-
come.
She's interrupting, but isn't some of that money is the fee to show up? right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my point. So it's not like $4,700. It's gonna cost you to go there. It's like, what is it, $1,500 just to attend?
No, I think it's 500. It's like 500
Per
just,
person?
425 just to attend, and then the rest is hotel, parking, and expenses,
Per diem.
mileage, and
Yeah.
per diem, yeah.
Right. Okay, well,
So,
you have an economist and a accountant. No, a money guy.
and if you would rather.
Jack is now an
can they vote
accountant.
in January, we'll have time to cancel it?
Only have to do it.
You've integrated.
So you would really, would be,
No, but
Other than
anyway,
that,
yeah,
it
when
won't
is it?
cost
When does it take place?
It's February,
Oh, okay.
the first week of
Oh, yeah, yeah,
February.
so,
The 3rd
Yeah.
is when it starts, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yep.
And as I said, we do early sign up, we get a little bit of a break.
right.
But we're looking at to send 3 of us, to send 6 of us, or 1.
Well, why do you forgive me for saying,
5
but
to send.
why do you need more than 2?
We don't, I'm
You
just,
and
I'm
Dan,
just
I mean,
giving
with
you
all due
all,
respect, nothing against you.
okay, I'm giving you all the options. So if it is just Dan and I, then I would ask that we do a vote for a not to exceed 3,000, and then Dan and I can
And
attend.
then pitch why there should be a third person.
Okay, who's the third person?
Just for networking, we're thinking about bringing
Him?
James. What do you mean him? Or we could bring her. I don't know.
All right, well,
So James would be networking.
Yeah, I would like to get my staff in front of, as many people as possible at these conferences, because down the road, if we do work with the Army Corps again, in a few years,
I'd like to speak to-
what?
I'd like to speak to that too. When we built out the staff the way we have, part of it was to build in a bit of redundancies between overlap in case, I step out or anything like that. I think it would be a great opportunity for James to kind of do a little bit of overlap into what I do and kind of build him out to step in for me if and when the time
So
comes.
2 people cost us what?
2 people. It's about $2,700 for 2
And
people.
3,
3,
And this is James without him having any meals, right?
yep. We're
I
gonna
can
make
miss-
him
I can
eat
miss a few.
water and we'll feed him bread. No, I'm kidding. For 3 of us to go, it would be about $3,800, $3,807. For 4 of us to go would be $4,719. And now, mind you, I can send things to Laura and have her post and do the communication.
I think it's overkill. As good as Laura is.
I think,
I like-
yeah, let's go for 3 and you said not to exceed something?
Yeah, I would say just if we're gonna do 3, let's do maybe a not to exceed 3,900.
What Dick was,
Oh, I'm sorry, Dick. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that this is something that should be built into the budget so that when we do the budget cycle the next time,
right,
22,
spoken like a true treasure.
include those things so that we're not telling the public, this is what the budget's gonna be, and then all of a sudden we're heading $4,700.
Good point. So
The
let's-
other thing is, just to show, because it's really important, just an FYI. Dan has been working on a survey program so that when people get interviewed, they could be a mile from their entry point. And he can do something on the phone that points that out. Now he's got the data to say, your rules say a quarter mile, but we have proof that it's a mile and you should give us more money. These are the things that bring tremendous value because of identifying sources of alpha. Is what we call in the hedge fund business, finding alpha. And so things like that, I feel with Dan being there, hopefully his creative process will continue to look at further,
So
further items of this
is
nature.
there a proper name for this conference?
FSBPA. It's been around forever.
Florida Beach
And shoreline,
Preservation
yeah.
and Shoreline. Shoreline
FS,
Preservation.
FSBCA,
BPA.
big,
PPA?
BPA.
So I will make a motion that we support 3 people with a budget of not to exceed 3,900 for attendance to the FSB PPA conference in St. Augustine. Is that correct?
Well, you see, it was 37, but you added a couple hundred, but that's.
Just
fine.
in
Never
case.
mind the age.
Yeah, it's actually 3,807.
Oh,
And I,
forgive me.
$93 just
Yeah,
in
yeah.
case.
But that's a theoretical.
Well,
No,
that's
well,
just
it's
enough.
not our actual cost. Like
So
we
that's a,
calculated it.
that's a big bottle of water.
Yeah, okay.
So that's my motion.
Okay, so we have a second, so let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye, and motion passes
Good deal.
unanimously. Okay, so now, and thank you for the speech.
You have other commissioners you want to call on to comment since you're still in.
Yeah,
commissioner?
right. And then the other thing. Yeah, when it comes to when we pick 2 members, we have to go in a process that we want to have for the very first time. Not people that just want to say, oh, I'm on board. We want people that are going to roll up their sleeves, know what they're talking about, get involved, and really add a lot of value with creative process, with understanding what the facts are. Also, what's their background? What have they done in the past? Have they been involved in what, it just goes such a long way. It really does. And we have this opportunity now to have 5 board members that are strong versus less that aren't as involved. So let's really take advantage of that opportunity, wherever they may be, whereas people will have a point. So
Well,
anyway.
and Chair, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, but
sure.
as you recall, that's one of the reasons why we created the application
Yeah.
to go along with the
Oh, yeah.
resume. so that you could see their interests and their reasoning and why.
Well, you have to talk to them too. and say, well, Who
Absolutely.
do you know? Well, how do you know that? What makes you think that? And you'd just be shocked what people know what they don't.
Mhm.
Like, for example, if Dick Pyle were the applicant, I see, he said, well, you know, I was on the board, this is like 5 years ago. And I say, okay, what are the 5 levels of resiliency, protection necessary to get a grant? There's 5 levels, what are they? I know, but he doesn't know. There's not, but he's gonna be his job to know. But so my point being is that, you know, pick their brains, find out what they really know and don't know, all that. All right, so other commissioners' comments.
Well, with respect to that issue, must let the candidates know that they must attend so many board meetings a year to keep quorum. Where is that proposal?
What do you mean? So
It's in this note.
we have a really difficult time meeting quorum, at least we
Right,
have this
so-
year. I mean, I know this year has been probably a little bit more out of the ordinary than maybe years past. I can only speak for
Much
this
more,
year.
90%.
So we need to have a quorum, we need to have a physical quorum, because where it gets sticky is, if you recall back in May, when we asked for everybody's summer schedules to kind of figure out when we wanted to have our meetings. You know, we made our plans around that. So just having board members who can make quorum, and as, you know, and as we said this past year, or this year, you know, CEPD is happy to utilize, you know, to pay for flights back down if we need a quorum. But it was very challenging this
Yeah,
year.
with COVID and Mike's
Correct.
So
COVID.
when I-
sick and.
So when I had my one-on-one with Robert Walter, I say to him, you need to tell me if you can make quorum all the time. You got to make 10 or 12 meetings. Is that a question I legitimately can ask him?
You can ask,
Okay.
absolutely.
So it's not an absolute requirement, but it's what we would like to see.
Yes, because we can't pass, you cannot set your policy without a physical quorum. You can't.
But on the other hand, if someone says, I can make 9 out of 12 meetings, then you look at like in a business, you look at the individual, you say, okay, how much value is this person gonna have because of their knowledge structure? Is it worth it? And the person gonna be there 12 times, but just be, you know, sitting there as an amoeba.
Well, and that's when we can set things up like
That's the opposite perspective.
going on hiatus in the summertime to say, you know, hey, no, you know, we're not going to be here. And then we can look at the issues that we have at hand and make that decision in April or May.
Exactly.
and
We
set the
can even
schedule
maybe do 2 months.
And
without.
say, we're going to have a hiatus for July and August, or
Well,
June and July, or.
That's just it. I mean, realistically, we're going into an administrative phase and a research phase. There's no capital project per se. It's perfect timing. That would, you know, this new Mr. Chairman, we have that, you know, realistically,
I'm taking that book.
we might, no, but you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not like we have apportionment, renourishment, sub showing up.
You will have final apportionment meeting
I-
in 2022.
of
Okay,
course,
I'm
of
just
course you
saying.
will, but then after that, it's like,
Well, and all of that depends on what it looks like with strategic planning and what it looks like with sea level rise, you know, being able to take on, you know, working with Aptum to put the plan in place for
it's
our
all
resilience.
conceptual. We're gonna be
Correct.
discussing ideas
Correct.
and, you know, there are no votes.
Understood, but I think, again, I go back to, if we try to do what we tried to do this year, where we set it up to where you have hiatus
Right,
for 2 months out of the summer because we don't have anything pressing,
right.
you know, I think that's a
Yeah, no,
better.
we can do that. I'm just trying to also counter Commissioner Sylvia's comment that if a person says I can only make, you know, 9 out of 12, you don't want to mix them
That's right.
because of the fact that, wait a minute, for the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a different template. That's all I was trying to
Sure,
bring up to say, you know, there are people that can run good meetings, but don't get you anywhere. And there are people that are an absolute atrocious at a meeting. Elon Musk comes to mind, but makes things happen. So there's that.
I think one thing that I'm looking for the staff to do is, since there are 5 paid staff members now compared to 1 a year ago.
2.
What?
It was 1 a year ago,
I think you had two and you
Yeah,
had some,
because
you had some
Joe had left-
consultants.
Joe had left
right,
and Jennifer hadn't come yet.
right.
And so if we've got, 5 paid staff, that staff should be tasked with doing a lot of that legwork to start with. And not necessarily responding to project requests not related to what our real job is, and that is to protect the island from sea level rise and erosion prevention. Frankly, to maintain the property values, I believe that's one of my jobs, is to try to maintain the property values on Captiva, because people spend a lot of money to live here, and we have an obligation to make sure that we protect the island from sea level rise.
So let me ask you a question, then, I guess Dan and Jennifer, because been here the longest. And if you don't want to answer it in public hearing, we can talk about it privately. Are there a lot of projects that you get involved in that are not core to what Dick is talking about as our objective? Do you-
The only thing that we've been asked to do outside was just recently working with the city of Benita, possibly doing a workshop to present on our project.
Commissioner Sylvia, unbeknownst to the two of you, or maybe you did, 2 weeks ago, I hired Bob Gray. Bob Gray is an analyst. His claim to fame is he's successfully run the procedures for the largest public teaching union in the country, the New York City Public Teachers Thing. He also created the procedural manuals years ago after Allison passed away. I asked him to do the following: to interview all the staff members, analyze what they do, see where there's overlap, see where overlap is beneficial, et cetera, and then he's going to present to us a white sheet as to what everyone's role is, what there's, how it interfaces with like the stakeholders. Like, for example, Jennifer's job is to make sure that anyone else that works with her with this board staff is at efficiency levels that make sense. And if Dan is with capital projects and he is doing the scientific evaluations of these capital projects, and there's no capital projects for 3 years, then what do we need Dan for if we're hiring Aptum? And the answer is, we need Dan because just because Aptum says it's so, we have someone on board that's, watching out for us. And Dan has already proven by last year that even though we had these outside entities that were on our, getting paid to evaluate things we needed, it was Dan's interest in looking at it. So it's like you have your own in-house lawyer to deal with the outside lawyers. That's what, Dan's position is.
So do we have a tentative date for this study to be delivered?
He says he's going to have it. He's in Italy right now.
He's in France.
He's in
and-
France.
and
When
we
he gets to
discussed
early
January
January,
6th
he'll
is
bring
the
the
date
sheets, we'll do a
of the
workshop.
workshop.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and so, because I thought then we can figure out, like, his administrative duties and, and so Jennifer's job, believe it or not, is to manage the stakeholders, whether it's the entities outside or people here. And she can go to her staff and say, Dan, what's the science on this? Aptum is telling us that. I can tell them, so it can be run like a, as I said, like CEPD 3.0. Okay. Because 2 years ago, it wasn't even it was 1.0 kind. So we, so anyway, so that's how I'm leaving it. And yes, it'll
Yeah,
be,
looks good.
Yeah.
The workshop.
yes, I think it'll be very exciting. What's next here, Jennifer?
Okay, so you want to ask
Administrative
Mr.
report?
Kyle if he has any comments?
Oh, forgive me.
Okay, okay. Then yes, it would be for you all to go ahead, or for me to do well, actually, we skipped my report. So
Oh,
what we could do is, let me go ahead and do my report, and then you guys
Okay.
can do your
We've already
executive.
talked to the upcoming
yeah.
conference,
So we have upcoming workshops, if you recall.
project completion.
Next week, we're going to be, on the 16th, we'll be meeting with a mobile parking app company that we talked about earlier in the year.
Yeah,
James will be leading that discussion. It's very impressive. When Dan and I attend TDC meetings at the Lee County building, they're all using mobile apps. So we would like to have a presentation on that. One of our machines is currently not working. I have the facts and figures. Lindsay has pulled them up for me to talk about during the meeting of how much we spend annually to fix those parking machines. And this might be just a much more efficient and cost-effective way to manage our parking. So we will be having that meeting next Thursday on the 16th. I'm sorry, this Thursday on the 16th. And then the workshop that you previously just spoke of on the 6th will be with Bob Gray to talk about his efficiency study. And then on
oh,
the,
he's doing it January 6th.
Mhm.
Oh, he did, okay,
remember
good.
we talked about that. You and I.
And he said, I know, I did. I'm sure, sorry.
And then, that's okay. And then on the 13th, the following week, we'll be having a workshop with the students from UF who did the questionnaire regarding strategic planning and moving forward for the
Can
CEPD.
do you understand the process of the rationale for the strategic plan, not just the essence of it,
Yes.
but you know, that by law, we're supposed to have a 5-year plan, we have the 10-year plan, and we don't have one, so we will have one, and it's gonna be a work process.
So
Yeah,
let me
it's
ask
It's
you-
not like a big deal.
So it's gonna take at
It's
least
just
a
matter of using
year
words,
to
right?
18 months to get this plan done.
Have we ever had a 5 or 10-year plan?
No,
I looked, I asked, the answer was no. So I think it's very important for the future of this district and to elevate us to
Yeah.
CEPD 3.0, that we have a plan in place because it helps all of us, you as the policy makers, us as administration, to stay on task and move in a common direction, right? If we have a plan in front of us.
No, was it you or Renee said that this was a requirement?
I don't know that it's necessarily a requirement.
But it's just good business.
It's just good
well,
business
if you
practice.
want to get grants and loans, they want to see that you got all your Ts crossed and your Is
And it
dotted.
is something we really need to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and right now, there's a lot of money up for grabs, so let's just show it.
Let's get it done.
Yeah, we filled in
Yep.
all the boxes.
so there's 2 more things I have left to talk about. Our legislative update. I forwarded you all the information from Nick Matthews, who's one of our lobbyists from Becker in Tallahassee. He pointed out that he's already met with the Speaker of the House, Sprouse, on the resiliency glitch bill. As they use the phrase glitch bill to refer to the legislation that is filed. And now they need to address some of the technical issues. So they are in discussion and working on that to advocate for getting that legislation changed and to clean some things up in that package, in the resiliency package. The other thing that was encouraging that I also heard at the legislative luncheon that I attended last Tuesday in Naples that was hosted by Senator Pasadomo was that the governor, although his budget isn't out yet, he's already committed to another $500 million to coastal resiliency for the budget, for the Resiliency Trust Fund. So that's encouraging. Senator Pasadomo also talked about a lot of environmental bills that are going to be coming forward for water quality, in addition to resiliency and flooding. So that was also very encouraging. And it was a great opportunity to see some of our delegation and speak with them about the work that we're doing with our lobbyists there and, you know, things that we're looking at doing in the future at CEPD. So it was very beneficial. It was a very long luncheon, I will say.
When was the last time this governor visited Captiva?
I know he's been to Sanibel a few times this year, but I can't say that he's been to Captiva.
So we've never really shown him the beach renourishment before and after.
We can absolutely make that request. And I can work on that. I am planning a trip to Tallahassee at the end of January. And then for 2 days, and then I'd like to go back in March or April, probably March before session closes.
And what about the head of the state cabinet that runs environmental beach water quality issues, see if he or she
That's
ever
the
visited.
DEP, right?
Yeah, no, there, no, not that I know of, no.
We could work on that. Yeah,
Mhm.
should,
We can make that
That's a
part
good
of our, part of an initiative and, you know,
We
when
can
I
get James to invite.
James,
Evans.
oh yeah, James,
That'd be a nice conduit.
100%, yes, we can work on that. I'll have to figure out how,
Well, we'll talk.
okay? And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was,
I think we should ask Carrie Schumer. Arrange that. But she's, you know, we're paying half of her salary
uh-huh,
along with this. Yeah. I think we could ask Schumer, Carrie.
you know,
Maybe
maybe what,
they ask together.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
why don't I speak with James and Carrie, and then we can figure out sort of our best foot forward, kind of how we need to do this and make the request to the governor's office. You know, James and I obviously, you know, have probably more connections than Carrie does at this point. So maybe I'll see if I can meet with the two of them, and then we'll come up with a plan.
To make her relevant, this would be good. I think she should concentrate on, because James now is going to be having a lot of other things
Mhm,
on his plate.
Sure.
Instead of having one thing on his plate, he's now have 7.
yeah,
So
I get it.
I think bring Carrie into this
sure,
discussion.
I wouldn't
Okay.
have Kerry lead it. There's no way they would just ignore it. But if Kerry's in the room,
Well, yes, but she's the one that can arrange who from here should be contacting and working with government, whichever government official.
well, it'd be the head of the DEP, but no, Dick's right. Give her a shot. See if you can, I'm just
Okay.
thinking.
I will coordinate with her.
James is gonna
this
be
week.
really, really busy with a lot of other things.
Sure,
And if he didn't suggest Carrie to you, I'd be very surprised.
okay, I can certainly reach out this week and circle back. And then do an in my administrative update next week, I'll let you know the follow-up. Okay, lastly, I know that when I came on board and for the last 8 months or so, I've been talking a lot about celebrating the project, and my idea was to have a brew festival here on Captiva. I thought it was a great idea. I did meet with 2 members of the community panel who say that the residents don't want that. So in meeting with another individual business owner here on the island, she recommended having a celebration. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, meaning whatever we want it to look like, meaning I call the owner of the Mucky Duck and say, hi, can we borrow your parking lot from 9 to 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning, invite the commissioners out, invite the TDC out, all of our stakeholders that helped us with the project, and, you know, just have a celebration, recognition.
Meaning, which, you mean the stakeholders, like, who mean the property owners or the people that were involved?
I would like to celebrate the people who were involved in the project, like Apton, like the
Yeah,
county,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the commissioners,
So that's
natural
50 people.
resources. Do what?
That's 50 people.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
So, and then maybe we host something, you know, at Key Lime afterwards, coffee and a little breakfast, or whatever you all want it to look like. You want to do an evening celebration or a morning celebration? I'm just putting that bee in your bonnet. We can certainly flush it out, but I just wanted to give you guys that idea.
Well,
that
what is the end game?
the end game is to bring recognition and notoriety to all of our stakeholders and partners and thank them. That is the end.
So to thank them and do something nice for them and have a party. That's why that little video that Mark's doing is crucial. because,
Absolutely.
yeah, all right, then I would, I mean, this is just my 2 cents. Knowing Captiva, knowing the politicians that would show up, they'd like to go in a room where half the room is perhaps supporters for their next pending election.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's my terrace again.
Now, that would work perfectly. And then we could get the IT infrastructure there to show the video to all of them and have kind of maybe a reception at 4 o'clock, 4:35.
Sunset.
Sunset.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
just thinking.
I think you should do it on the beach, since that's it.
Well, he lives right across from the beach.
No, he's right. If
Oh.
we do a tent on the beach,
Oh,
that could
perfect.
be nice too.
Okay.
It's just, it's more,
You're showing them the project.
Okay, so then,
good point.
and then
Very good point.
afterwards, could we show them the video, perhaps
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
terrace?
No, but we could do everything on the beach. It's
Okay.
just a place where to
Okay.
park.
All right, so
But I
then,
would make it more VIP for the people that really, had something to do with it. You're talking 50, 60 people, because don't forget, some of the people can't make it. Other people are just gonna show because they want to be seen.
Mhm.
Yeah, typical party scene. So
Okay.
take good point, has to be on the news. Thank you.
Okay, so then staff is gonna work on this
Tent,
and,
catering. That's it.
yeah, we're gonna work on that. I'll have Lindsay get on that this week and we'll get some prices together.
You need a permit. to put cameras
Right.
up.
Right, we'll have Lindsay research all of that for us and then we'll put together the plan. And then we'll present it at the January meeting.
Do it in front of Tony's,
Tony Laffey, yeah,
because he's got parking there, no hassle.
I'll reach out to Mr. Laffey. I can do that.
There'll be 2 wine sections.
Goodness. All right, so, okay, now we're ready for your last item on your agenda, which is to select your executive committee.
Okay, so I will start it. Actually, the chairman can make a motion. I looked it up. I would like to make a motion for next year that John Sylvia will be the chairman.
Thank you.
We need a second.
Second.
Any public discussion? Good. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Great. All right, now, James, what do we need next? Vice Chair?
Vice Chair, yep.
I nominate myself.
And I second that,
Okay,
with the understanding that Renee is not going to disappear on me
I promise.
within the next 12 months.
I'll give you my Italian promise, which is sacrosanct.
Okay,
Okay,
Call the
call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dick?
Abstain.
Thank you. Your class there. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, motion passes.
okay.
Okay.
Next
Can I make
one.
Can I make the motion that Dick Powell remain as treasurer?
We need a
Okay,
second.
yeah, I'll second.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Who wants to be, there's no secretary.
well, you can, we actually do need to appoint a secretary, right, James?
Yeah, you can hold 2 positions.
Until you get your
Yeah.
new, and then you could bring
I'll
it up.
nominate myself as secretary to keep everyone
I'll
honest.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right,
Motion passes. We're done. Any more comments? We're gonna wish you those fast meetings.
okay, and then that's it. You're on to adjournment.
Good.
I make a motion to adjourn.
There's no chairman.
Second.
Okay, okay, great. All those,
Second, okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Done deal.
Say that. Okay, thank you.
All done.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So John, we should get together. I can
Yes,
just give you
please.
the history.
It'll take 4 hours.
I need to stop recording first.
No.